Well, let's get our normal technical hiccups out of the way because, well, I don't know what I'm doing. um, sorry about that. Adjusting things on my end real quick. And of course, I'm getting alerts on my phone even though it's silenced because reasons. But, you know, that's the way it goes. Test to see what we got going here. See if my typing works. Which apparently it does. Hot dog. Alrighty. Well, that shows up faster. No, never mind. I guess we can get started with some stuff. Well, I guess first piece of entertainment news to go over. See if this actually works. Hot dog, it did. This, as you can tell, is Square Enix sells all of its Western game studios and their games to Embracer. $300 million deal includes over 50 classic game rights and over 1,000 developers. Huh. I didn't know you could own people. Okay. I'm sure in South Africa. But anyways, I thought that was morally wrong to own people. On Monday, Japanese game publisher Square Enix confirmed that it was selling all three of its Western video game studios, along with many significant game series and intellectual property attached to those studios, to the European game publisher Embracer. The sale includes game studios Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. All three had previously been wholly owned by Square Enix, and Embracer will acquire their entire staffs, combined at roughly 1,100 people, along with popular IPs such as Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Legacy of Kain, and a game publishing catalog of over 50 games for $300 million. Honestly, I figured that would sell for a lot more. But, you still gotta. Not all the deal's IP has been confirmed thus far, however, and an announcement from Square Enix indicates that its Western operations will continue to publish franchises such as Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange. This suggests that Square Enix will retain some of its Western-specific IP and that its future collaborations with Western game makers will come via publishing deals with outside developers. While console manufacturers Microsoft and Sony have racked up headlines thanks to their own megaton game maker acquisitions over the past few years, Embracer has quietly built its own roster of predominantly European studios over the past decade. It was better known by the name THQ Nordic, beginning in 2014 after picking up the rights to the fallen publisher's name. Though not all of its games, its biggest acquisition in the past 12 months have included video game maker Gearbox Software and board game producer Asmodee Games. Square Enix's recent handling of Western properties has been has had some issues, particularly over after it put a ton of its Western studios' eggs into the uneven game as a service basket of Marvel's Avengers, only to see its 2020 launch fall well short of critical and sales expectations. All right, we're going to put this simply. The Marvel's Avengers game that they put out, the models are terrifying. That kind of turned a lot of people away. I mean, you have the licenses to get the actors to at least come in and get some scans and stuff so you can model the characters after the actors, but good heavens, so they skipped that one spectacularly. Let's see. This was followed by a critical 2021 darling Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which I still need to try that one out. Helmed by Eidos Montreal, falling short of sales expectations. Between those disappointments and the utter silence of Deus Ex as a sci-fi adventure series since 2016, perhaps Square Enix's estimation of its combined Western studios value had fallen. Well, since they're selling, I'd say so. Please excuse me, I'm on my phone. Let's see. And shortly after the announcement went live, Eidos Montreal confirmed in an Embracer conference call that its next major game would be set in the world of Deus Ex. The announcement didn't clarify exactly how Crystal Dynamics' recently announced work on the Microsoft-published Perfect Dark sequel will factor into this deal. Well, I mean, I hope for the best, but I mean, I did like the Tomb Raider games. Thought they were well done. And some very gruesome death scenes. I guess we can switch over. There was a different article. Yeah, this one from VB or GamesB or whatever it is. This is the previous one was written by Sam. I'm sorry, Sam. I cannot pronounce your name. I am really, really sorry about that. I am terrible with names, and I'm not going to butcher your name. This one is made by Jeff Grubb. Yay, an easy name to pronounce. Square Enix didn't know how to squeeze profits out of its Western studios. Nice opinion piece to start with. Well, Square Enix is washing its hands of its biggest Western studios. The company announced in its selling to Eidos and Crystal Dynamics. Selling its Eidos and Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, we just went over that. Bottom line reasoning for this move is profitability. Square Enix has spent a lot of money on these studios, but it hasn't figured out how to make income from that investment. In 2021, Eidos Interactive generated its highest revenue in 3 years, but those revenues did not offset its cost. Eidos had a profit margin of 0.65%. Ouch. During that same period, Crystal Dynamics also had its highest revenue, but generated a profit margin of just 3.6%. That is rough. And Square Enix as a whole had an operating income margin of 14.2% last year. Ow. Just ow. Well, companies hate to carry around a drag on their profitability, but that doesn't mean they instantly sell off underperforming business units. Square Enix had the choice to figure out what to do next with Crystal Dynamics and Eidos, but this deal suggests that Square Enix ran out of ideas. Or they're desperately having to cut costs. The publisher already went from having Crystal Dynamics and Eidos working on their own IP to working on Disney's major Marvel brand. The cost of that license almost certainly contributed to the low profitability of the studios, but more than that, you get the sense that Square Enix is saying if Marvel couldn't make these studios profitable, nothing can. I don't know about that. Not one thing that's hindering is a lot of people don't have the money to spend on games. They haven't for a while. The economy shot because everything shut down, and half the developers have games that are sitting back waiting to expire, basically. And I can't really think of too many games that have really come out here recently that have really blown things out of the water. I mean, yeah, all right, Elden Ring did well, but still, I'm sure they would have hoped it would have done more. EA has repeatedly shut down any project that doesn't have at least one projected profit margin, at least a projected profit margin of 15%. This has left the studio with fewer and fewer projects each year, though. Activision has taken a similar tack to EA, but instead of closing down studios, it has simply put all of its teams into the Call of Duty or Blizzard content farms. Square Enix has already experimented with this. It made a deal to let Crystal Dynamics work with Microsoft's The Initiative on Perfect Dark. Yeah, but EA and Blizzard Activision is toast. There's no way around it. That was some serious mismanagement on their part. And there was a lot of horrible things going on in there, and it all came to light, and so Microsoft just bought them. Does that mean good things are coming from it? Lord knows. Maybe you'll get to play World of Warcraft with Xbox Live account instead of having to pay monthly. Neat. Square Enix has already alleged that it wants to invest more in blockchain, AI, and cloud gaming, and it probably will do that. Crystal Dynamics and Eidos likely had no interest or skill in those areas, so the publisher is pursuing a future that had no use for those teams. But it's also worth recognizing the context in which this deal is happening. Massive conglomerates like Microsoft are purchasing giant publishers like Activision. Tencent is still looking to make acquisitions. Sony PlayStation has indicated it wishes to continue to make moves, and every other publisher is trying to position themselves to get acquired, to merge, or to acquire something else themselves. By dropping its underperforming studios, Square Enix makes itself more streamlined for potential acquisition, and maybe that is the next part of the story. I highly doubt it. As if it was Microsoft buying it, they'd want the whole kit and caboodle. Same with Sony. If they were going to buy it up, they'd want the whole kit and caboodle. So that doesn't quite make sense on that one. Games, not to mention only 300 million purchased those studios. Microsoft sneezes and that much change falls out of their pocket. Games beats crew and covering the game industry is where, I'll leave that alone. But, I guess that's what we get for a little bit of Square Enix. So, I understand there's a few other things going on in the world right now, news-wise, that I just want to avoid. Because it's some toxic waters that I don't want to get into. But, Well, let's see. Um, I mean, if anybody does pop in, has suggestions for something to, well, greetings, old man, and thank you for the thumbnail. Hail to you, good sir. Um, oh, that reminds me, I'm glad you're here because that handheld thing you were talking about, I have it pulled up here. Let me switch over to it. Took a little bit of hunting, but for it not to be on, there's two different handhelds that they're showing off basically right now on Google they're talking about. But I hope this is the one, the Playdate, because you said it was in black and white and everything. It only had the two buttons and the D-pad, and apparently a hand crank. At least I hope that's the case. The Playdate is oozing with charm and potential. This is on Gizmodo. Panic's quirky handheld somehow feels retro and modern at the same time. I mean, it looks pretty neat. Let's hope the video doesn't autoplay. It's been a bumpy road for the three latest additions to the handheld console scene, but after a batch of bad batteries pushed its release to 2022, the quirky Playdate is finally here. Mixing a modern and retro aesthetic, this handheld with a crank isn't for every gamer, but has a lot of potential. What game developers do with the unique hardware that shows value in prioritizing fun and unique experience over having the beefiest specs. Well, they're definitely not going for the beefiest specs. But first, in admission, I hate gimmicky devices, especially game consoles. There's really only one company that does gimmicks well, and that's Nintendo. But even while it's had runaway success with the motion-controlled Wii and the portable Switch, it's also had spectacular failures like the Virtual Boy, that would make you see red for a month after playing it for 5 minutes if you didn't go blind. There's usually generally smoke coming off your eyeballs after looking at that thing for any length of time. And I saw one for sale the other day. When Panic first revealed the Playdate with its monochromatic system and pop-out crank, I hated everything about it. It seemed like it leaned far too heavy on its quirky aesthetic, having very much enjoyed Panic's Untitled Goose Game and being a longtime fan of Teenage Engineering's design chops. I've since warmed up to the Playdate and now have spent a few weeks with it. Let's see, it's fun potential, but I also have some serious concerns about design. Well, alright, let's go over the list of things they have on this. Panic Playdate. Panic's modern take on classic LCD handheld shows a lot of potential with several games taking real advantage of its unique pop-out crank, but its monochromatic screen lacks any lighting. This makes finding the perfect angle to see the screen harder than it needs to be. Before we get any further, I don't know if you remember them too much, old man, the handheld fishing games that you could buy that had a crank on the side. I wore one of those out when I was younger because I don't know why, I just had fun with it. Of course, yeah, what is it? A handheld gaming console with black and white screen, a pop-out crank, and a subscription service that delivers 2 new games every week, 24 in total for the first season. Price $179. So, okay. Well, the fact that you're getting 24 games, with I guess that also kind of makes up for it. That's if you get the subscription at the same time. I don't know. It doesn't show on there what the subscription service costs, but I hope it isn't too much. Likes for this person. The Crank offers some genuinely unique gameplay opportunities, with many games taking advantage of it. Dislike. The monochromatic screen lacks any lighting and requires players to have to constantly readjust their viewing angle just to see it. It's not easy to innovate when it comes to handheld gaming. The vertical design of the original Nintendo Game Boy and the horizontal design of the Game Boy Advance have defined the look of handhelds for decades. And while that's good, that's a good thing, given both were solid devices, it's still nice to see companies like Panic and Teenage Engineering trying something new. It doesn't. It looks kind of interesting. And it's nice and simple, which is good. In a time when smartphones and handheld consoles continue to get larger and larger, I love how compact, thin, and lightweight the Playdate is. It's a mostly plastic affair, but the handheld feels incredibly solid and durable. Well, I was overly cautious with my smartphone, but the Playdate feels like it can take a beating and keep going. And while it will probably end up getting a few scratches, I'm okay with it. Well, it's got some nice, it doesn't look bad. It's nice aesthetics for what it is. I like it being simplistic. Like you had brought it up to me before I looked it up. Going back to it's unlike Valve's Steam Deck or the Analog Pocket, which both have access to huge libraries of games, including titles that gamers already love. The Playdate is an entirely new platform starting from scratch. Panic is taking a subscription approach to the Playdate's games library. Although the price is rolled into the cost of the $170 console, once charged, booted, and connected to Wi-Fi, the handheld will download 2 games, with 2 additional titles being made available every following week for an eventual total of 24 for the first season, as Panic calls the bundle. First season contains a wide variety of games that will appeal to most any casual gamer, but they can be hit and miss depending on each user's preference. It's everything from space shoot-em-ups to RPGs to turn-based strategies to side-scrollers to puzzles are part of the Playdate's first season, but the variety also means the number of games you'll actually want to play may be considerably less depending on your taste. Users can very easily sideload additional titles into their Playdate, and Panic has already provided all the tools game makers will need to develop for the handheld, even amateurs, where there are very few additional games available at launch. Now, I don't take around when waiting in lines or at the doc's office. Yeah, I could see that, Like the console itself, a lot of games bring very unique aesthetic, with many coming from noted indie legends like Zach Gage, Ridiculous Fishing, and Bennett Foddy, or however you pronounce that, getting over it with, Bennett Foddy. As a platform, the Playdate reminds me of Kevin Bates' Ardu Boy, I guess, which also uses monochromatic display and encourages indie developers to contribute. But unlike the Ardu Boy, the Playdate has a bit more horsepower behind it with a 168 MHz Cortex M7 CPU and 16 megabytes of RAM. That might not sound like much, but I'm genuinely surprised at the fluidity and complexity of the graphics and animation the Playdate is capable of. The handheld may look like a retro Nintendo game and watch, but the games feel completely modern. Huh. I guess last you came to tell the park ranger there that little Timmy fell down the well. So what's gaming like with the Playdate's crank again? It's kind of a hit and miss. Sometimes games barely use it, while others, like the side-scroller Forest, runs up in smoke, use it only for specific occasional tasks. Take rescuing people from a well by quickly winding up the bucket, for example. There's good reason that Panic has prominently featured. I'm sorry, the person that made Katamari Damacy fame. Yeah, that one I don't know how to pronounce the name. Sorry. Cranking time travel adventure when promoting the Playdate because the person really understood the assignment. Huh. I mean, so far, it looks like it could be fun. So look up the article because there's a lot to the article apparently because it goes through. But you know, I think it looks like it could be an interesting way to kill time. Yeah. It looks like it'd be a comfortable device. I mean, price range is a little pricey, and like I said, I kind of hope it comes with the subscription they were talking about, so that you get the games. Otherwise, you'd have to buy it separate, which would kind of be for me. But one can hope. Let's see. Any little thing to, excuse me. Sorry about that. Tea went down the wrong way. And I guess you missed it, old man, where I already went over Square Enix selling off its Western studios. Let's see. Oh, this is good. Well, that's good. I mean, it looks like for the price, it really isn't too terribly bad. But well, now we're going to get into something a little bit different. That in some ways is funny, in some ways is rather depressing. There you go. Guest brace for fistfight during bizarre Disneyland altercation. Well, at least they had the good sense to blur the face. Some guests decided to settle their differences at the happiest place on earth. Yeah, they When visiting Walt Disney World Resort, you tend to picture the perfect vacation for all ages with Iconic rides like Splash Mountain, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Haunted Mansion, as well as classic characters like Mickey and Minnie Mouse. It's hard to imagine things going wrong, but sometimes altercations take place between guests, and unfortunately, those sometimes result in physical violence. One bizarre altercation recently took place at Disneyland, which was shared on Reddit. Yeah, those were some happy guests. I'm not sure what happened after the short video was cut off. This is far from the first time. Yeah, was it last year or the year before you had that really big knockdown drag out fight right in front of a whole bunch of kids? Well, that was classy. And their security staff basically took their time and didn't want to get near it. I guess they felt they weren't getting paid enough for it. You're not sure what happened after the short video was cut off. This is far from the first. Yeah, Walt Disney Parks may seem like a magical place filled with unlimited possibilities. Guests are still required to follow the rules. Fighting is never allowed or tolerated within Disney parks, and we have seen instances of issues like this in the past, all resulting in guests getting kicked out after disobeying the rules and regulations of the resort. Well, no kidding. At Disneyland, there's so much for guests to enjoy now that the mask mandate has finally dropped for fully cloaked guests. Guests can enter buildings without face covering if they so choose. Walk up to Sleeping Beauty Castle. Walking up to Sleeping Beauty Castle is always a dream, especially when you get to go inside and relive the story of Aurora and Maleficent, riding classics like It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, The Haunted Mansion, Matterhorn Bobsled, Splash Mountain, and more. But I already got to get to. Right now, what show? Disneyland guests can enjoy Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for some blue milk or green milk and ride the Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run. Now guests can also enjoy Disneyland Forever and the Main Street Electrical Parade. Yeah. Can we bet on the fights? Or how many? Here's a better question: how many of those are actually working? I mean, the rides keep breaking down. You keep seeing that in the news, and it gets pretty rough. That's enough of that. Sorry, I'm kind of bouncing through things, trying to figure out exactly what to put up. And getting this site to pop up is apparently not so much fun. Let's see, we already went over the play date. Went over Square Enix. Please excuse me for a moment, old man. I don't know if you hear the furball. Thank you, furball. I'm going to go take care of the stuff. Chewing on the cord. I'm going to take care of this real quick. Sorry. Okay, that's taken care of. Sorry about that. I guess we can get to different article if you're interested in it, old man. I hope you are. This is on Bounty in the comics, so, you know. Ryan Pearson wrote this one. Super Mario Brothers movie plot allegedly leaked. Mario and Luigi redesigns, Captain Toad, Pauline, musical numbers, and more. Alleged details of Super Mario Brothers movie have been shared online, giving insight into the film's overall plot and other information. Well, I guess it's alright. You have the claims via Reddit user Bill Voxel Raptor. While lacking credentials or evidence to prove its validity, the post being DMCA'd could suggest it is legitimate. Alright, that's a warning. I may not want to go further. No. I don't feel like a DMCA. I'll leave it up to you. Do I go further or do I avoid this one? My instincts scream one thing, but copyright law is a vicious thing. You know what? Just to be safe, I'm going to skip this one. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. See, I agree. If you want to read the article, please go on Bounding into Comics. While it's there, you might as well, if you decide to want to read that one. I'll go back through and read it later. I specifically have been avoiding actually reading the things before I do it to an extent because I want to at least have a natural reaction to it. But that one, a little tingling sensation that said, "No, you don't want to touch this." But I guess we'll get into a different one. Also from Bounding into Comics, this was written by John F. Trent. Warner Brothers continues to make more cuts. DC's Legends of Tomorrow, canned, Wonder Twins movie trashed, thank merciful heavens. One turns into water things, the other turns into an animal, and then they have a purple monkey. Warner Brothers Discovery's new CEO, David Zaslav, I don't know, is throwing his weight around, staying true to his promise that he's not afraid to cut the fat. Well, that basically the CW would be considered a fat. During the company's first earnings call, the guy, I'm not going to continue to butcher his name, made it clear that there would be no sacred cows under his management, stating, "We have no religion about any one platform or window versus another, and we intend to approach each and every decision through the lens of enhancing asset value against a set of financial returns." Well, make it profitable, you're going to have to stop pandering to certain people with blue check marks, which that's about to end too, with everybody getting verified. He went on to bluntly state, "Our goal is to maximize long-term shareholder value and asset value, not just subs. We will not overspend to drive subscriber growth. Our focus is to invest in content and platforms that extend the life and return of our global IP. Smart move. And position us to drive greater returns out of each dollar of content spent than our peers, and to ultimately drive free cash flow. Well, business first, good idea. I'm gonna jump around on this. They have. We've heard another one source informed that Warner Brothers Discovery is not only pausing scripted content at TNT and TBS, but is also evaluating True TV and strategy employed by Rip whatever across the three channels. Then on April 29th, Batwoman showrunner Carolyn Dries revealed the CW finally canceled Batwoman after 3 seasons of constantly plummeting ratings. We saw the third season have an average rating of 0.09 in the 18 to 49 demographic, with an average viewership of 458,000 dollars. Not dollars, but 1,000 people. 458,000 people. And that's actually what they're looking at. They're looking at each person as $1 anyways. So it might as well be. The show has tanked. And it is pretty rough. We'll go down to this statement. Just got the sad news that Batwoman will not be seeing season 4. I'm bummed, but full of gratitude. What an honor to make 51 episodes. That should never have got that far. So many inspiring, brilliant people contributed to this series. Thank you, producers, cast, and crew. Thank you, fans. We love you. You didn't have that many. I have to say, the only thing keeping your show afloat was the people that were reviewing your show. Those were basically your watchers, and they were merciless. Now, I'm sure Az from Heel versus Babyface is probably relieved that his torment is over with the show's gone, but it's gonna be fun for him to find new content. Thank you for being the greatest friends and sticking with us for 7 seasons on the Legends of Tomorrow, people. Once a legend, always a legend. All right, sit down. This is gonna hurt. Not really. Don't want you. Doesn't matter. We're canceled. This has been the journey of a lifetime for all of us. The little show that wasn't supposed to be grew into the show that could be anything it wanted. We went to Camelot, Salvation, Hollywood, and even said a computer's mind. But of course, the real destination was always home, the place where your family and friends and your family are friends and your friends are family. We will desperately miss creating this show, but most of all, we will miss getting to make it together and sharing it with you. Well, all right, well, I guess let's see what they have on this. According to the TV series finale, the show in its 7th season had similar demographics to Batwoman's 3rd season, with an average of 0.09 in the 18 to 49 demographic, with average viewership of 528,000 people. To put that in perspective, there are YouTubers out there that have more views than that on a single video in a day. So, a new report from that hashtag show also claims that claims to recently announce the Wonder Twins movie that was supposed to star Rivendell's K.J. Apa, I guess, and Yellowstone's Isabel May has been scrapped, thank heavens. Deadline reported back in the middle of April that DC was developing a live-action comedy based on the characters for HBO Max with Black Adam and Rampage co-writer I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that, tapped to direct the film based off the script he wrote. However, that hashtag show claims the crew received word this week that the film was scrapped. That's for the best. I don't know if you remember the Wonder Twins, but it's Zan and Jaina, and the dude would turn into things that involved water, including a bucket of water. And Jaina would turn into various animals. They had these little rings, and poof, they could do that. It's just, I'm hoping, as much as I don't like to see people lose their jobs because, it's their livelihood, but yeah, I hope the best for the people. As far as the shows like that, Legends of Tomorrow, I don't know much about, but Batwoman, on the other hand, made the dumpster fire that it was finally burn out when it runs out of fuel. That's what I can say for Batwoman. Let's see. Here's one that. This is going to be another one abounding in the comics by J.B. Augustine, I believe. Petition calling for Amber Heard's removal from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom passes 3 million signatures. You will now forever be known as #MePoo. Amber Heard. Remember that petition pushing for Amber Heard to be removed from Aquaman 2? We reported on some time ago. It's still going, accepting signatures, and now it's back with a vengeance thanks to Johnny Depp's defamation suit that is being televised everywhere. Yeah, it just keeps getting funnier and more sad. The Change.org petition directed at DC Warner Brothers recently reached 2 million signatures and has also surpassed that number. It says over 3 million as of this writing, taking Depp's side. The campaign says Amber Heard has been exposed as a domestic abuser by Johnny Depp. It continues, in his $50 million lawsuit, Johnny Depp describes many incidents of domestic abuse that he suffered at the hands of his then-wife, Amber Heard. #MeToo. Including one incident where she punched him twice in the face and another where she shattered his finger with a vodka bottle, and his finger had to be surgically reattached. Now, she's a rather terrible person. That's all that this has done. That's all it's highlighted. It's just that she has become just. Ugh. But in some ways, I want her to get work because I want her to have to come to the realization every time she gets a job that she is having to get money from that to pay off the $50 million defamation suit. I want it to sting. I'm not saying that Johnny Depp is a sweet, innocent little angel, because I'm sure he's not. But she came off worse than him. I mean, if she felt that, it says something when she felt compelled enough and angry enough to, after he left, to go over to his side of the bed and drop a fresh biscuit on it. I mean, good heavens. This is not a stable individual. And of course, she makes sure to make herself look as really bad and downtrodden as possible every time she goes in. But when she doesn't realize, whenever she doesn't notice the camera pointing at her, she's usually sitting there smiling and smirking. But, you know, what goes around comes around, and that's the way that is. Let's see. Here's now to get to our little dose of Elon Musk news, just because we can. This is on Post Millennial. Who wrote this one? James Anthony. All right. Elon Musk slams NBC after GOP less than friendly people from World War II smear. Musk responded to the unhinged rant, saying that NBC should perhaps take a look at their own misdeeds for launching it. Yeah. NBC pundit, I cannot pronounce that. Please do not contact the person. Leave him alone. He's not worth your time. We can take our time to laugh at him and shame him in chat or somewhere else, but contacting him is out of line. Responding to him whenever he's commenting on a public forum, I guess is fine, but please be civil. But no harass, no stalk, no nothing. It's bad that I actually have to say that, because if I don't, I'm going to get cornholed by YouTube, because they don't seem to think that people have free will. On his Sunday evening show to complain about Elon Musk being the new owner of Twitter's social media network, claiming that Musk plans to use it as a tool for the far right. Let's see. You have Elon. There's a tweet that go on. Elon Musk replying. NBC basically saying Republicans are Yahtzees. Same organization that covered up Hunter Biden laptop story, had Harvey Weinstein story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer his own personal bad behavior office. Lovely people. Yeah. Another one that covered for Harvey Weinstein was Disney. A lot of their stuff they own was playing cover for it. And I'll see if I can pull it up here in a few. Disney apparently still doesn't mind what happened, because they ended up hiring Weinstein's personal secretary for one of their shows. So that's good. He also brought up the revelations that emerged during the Me Too era, in which it was discovered that former hosts on the network, I'm talking about Matt Lauer, it's easy in American discourse to talk simplistically about the far left and far right as two equally dangerous fringe blocks. Elon Musk has done it plenty of times, just in the past week, Hassan said. But here's the difference. America's far left want to give us free health care and free child care. America's far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. Bullcrap. Continued the tradition of ignoring the fact, for example, that Donald Trump himself has denounced white supremacy on multiple occasions. Yes. But yeah, I think he's also one of the ones that made sure to push that narrative after what happened out east. But that's the type of person you're dealing with. And I forgot. One side is nothing but saints. The other side is nothing but sinner. I see no saints on either side. They're all sinners. They're all corrupt and bad. Just a matter of which one's worse. They're all going, as I learned early, all politicians are out there to screw you. You just have to find the one that's going to do it the least and preferably use the most lube. And this asymmetrical polarization of U.S. politics would be laughable if it weren't so horrifying, continued this person in the same vein. We are living through an unspeakably dangerous moment. The pro-Q people and the pro-neo-Yahtzee faction of the Republican Party poised to expand dramatically come the midterms, stated partisan zealot Hassan, indicated that his opinion is that only people right of center engage in wild conspiracy theories. And not like you haven't done that for running with the Steele dossier and stuff like that. Should I pull up some of his past stuff? Let me know later. He's a special one. Same organization they cover for 100 months. Yeah. He's... Alright, that is not the best caption that they could have got for it. Okay? I don't know if he's half asleep or stoned. Considering the contrast of eyes, I would say stoned in this one. But that's me. Once again, don't contact the douche. He's not worth your time. Well, darn, I am trying to figure this out for the life of me, you know. I'm trying to figure out what to do next. Let's see. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Well, this actually affects both of us, old man. We're going to Halo Infinite Season 2 starting. Don't actually care about that part. Co-op multiplayer details. Alright. Whether you have dropped out of the Halo Infinite hype since November to December 2021 launch, or have stuck around to the slow rolling features of the game, players that they hope to spice things up. Halo Infinite Season 2 will be launching on May 3rd, 2022, bringing 2 new maps, 3 additional game modes, and a new battle pass. In the latter half of the season, 4-player co-op campaign and Forge is also expected to be added. 343 Industries previously announced that Season 2 was originally planned to be released in early February. This was around the same time that Season 2 was revealed to be called Lone Wolves. This season arrives on May 3rd and will run for 6 months into November. Breakdown list of all new features, Halo Infinite's first multiplayer update. Alright. 2 new multiplayer maps. Don't care right now. 2 new multiplayer maps. Don't care right now. New 100 tier Season 2 Battle Pass. Don't. With a free and $10 premium track. I don't care about those. The first half of the Interference Alpha Pack. Narrative event multiplayer. Don't care about that. New Slayer variants. The first full reset of Halo Infinite's multiplayer ranks. Various quality of life improvements. Really, here's a list of Halo Infinite Season 2 updates known from now to November. Fracture, and no, I don't really care about that. I guess I should read it off. Entrenched, the latest recurring in-game event begins May 24th. The event would be similar to last season's samurai-themed Tenrai Festival, centered around the new land grab mode and non-canon Iron Eagle armor core. Second half of the Interference Alpha Pack story will debut on July 19th, running through August 1st. Halo Infinite's co-op campaign support should arrive sometime in August. The update will allow up to 4 players to play Halo Infinite's campaign online. Really? It's getting pushed back to August. And they'll push it back further because they want to focus on taking care of their little pay piggies that are buying the pack, the in-game purchases for their multiplayer. Nothing against those that decide to go that route. It's just some of us don't do that. It's just it didn't launch with it, which it should have whenever the campaign came out. Then they say, well, we'll do it in May. Well, it's May. Nope, we'll do it in August. Next thing you know, they'll say it'll come out in November with that update. And they'll push it back again and again and again. Come on, 343. This is just, you got better things to do with your money and time than to constantly focus on that and taking your excess money to developing a god-awful show on Paramount Plus. Oh boy. Let's see. I'm sorry, I got a little frustrated by that. I had to take a moment. Let's see. What should we look up now? Um, that one from Game Rant. It's kind of funny. Steam stats show just how much of a player nosedive Cyberpunk 2077 has taken. With the exception of No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best examples of a modern game that was able to turn things around despite being one of the most disastrous launches in recent video game history. CD Projekt Red has been working diligently to undo the massive amounts of damage that was left in the game's original wake. Many would agree that a lot's been improved since December 2020, though it's interesting to note that the player base is nowhere near what it was almost 18 months ago. Well, yeah, because all these people pre-ordered it and then they found out they couldn't play it. You had this massive sell, as well, I'm kind of avoiding pre-ordering anything, and then they all got burned. According to statistics pulled from SteamDB, a third-party website that tracks all things related to the Steam Cloud, the amount of users that play Cyberpunk 2077 has seen a massive drop over the last year and a half. At the time of writing this, it's showing recent 24-hour peak of just 19,789 players. When the game first came out, it had a peak of 1,054,388. No doubt, inspired by its marketing campaign and the fact that fans have been waiting for literal years for it to come out. This also made it the 5th highest Steam game in terms of concurrent users. Even though the initial reputation is getting better all the time, these figures showed that concurrent player base has dropped by around 98% since the game was released. The monthly breakdown shows that this number does not seem to be getting any better. Yeah, it does not seem to be getting better. However, there was a massive 113% leap back in February when patch 1.5 for Cyberpunk 2077 was released. This enormous update brought with it a laundry list of changes and bug fixes, of which there were many. It shows that when the patch rolled out, fans were willing to give the game another chance, and then they got burned. Sadly, it doesn't look as though many are too interested in the game these days. Even though 19,000 is still a lot of players, it's a yawning gulf away from the million that were concurrently playing when it was first launched. And no kidding. Oh boy, Cyberpunk was also review bombed. And while the current rating on Steam is a respectable, mostly positive, there will be some who have been put off by the initial retail release. It wasn't review bombed for people coming in complaining because it didn't work. I don't think they understand how it works. It's not to say that, let's say it's a bad game, with CD Projekt Red currently working on an expansion, which is due out next year. The developer has shown willing by making significant changes that have helped make it a much more enjoyable experience. It's just a bit of a shame that it will unlikely reach the concurrent player count that it briefly enjoyed at the tail end of 2020. Yeah, I'm not touching it. I don't have anything in story or anything like that. This comes down to they released a game that didn't work, and then initially they were going after those people that could not run the game, even on the systems it was designed for. I'm not touching it. It's a principle thing on that. I am looking forward to the new Witcher game they were talking about, but there really isn't any information on that as far as I'm here. I'll look it up. Let's see. What is the most release? What's the most recent? All of my luck, it's going to go straight over to. It'll be PC, but it'll go to PlayStation with my luck. In this case. All right. This one is over on PC Gamer, written by Morgan Park. Yay. Contributions from Lauren Morton. Unfortunately, this was published 22 days ago, so I'm sorry about that. Witcher 4 is definitely happening. It's likely still quite far away. Yeah. Witcher 4 has been officially confirmed, and although we're quite excited, we certainly aren't surprised. There have been no shortage of rumors about the Witcher game, but CD Projekt Red and the studio has commented on the possibility multiple times. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is one of the greatest RPGs of all time, so an eventual sequel has always made sense. Now that we know it's definitely in the works, we've gathered everything we know for sure about the next Witcher game, along with some educated speculation about which characters could return and what kind of story it might have. Now, well, no, they haven't said there's a release date. There isn't a release date or even a release year for The Witcher 4. Probably won't be for quite some time. First confirmed in March 2022, CD Projekt Red said at this point no further details regarding the game, such as a development time frame or release date, are available. Yeah. Now it's going to get delayed, any work they do, by Cyberpunk. I know they're trying to get that flopping flounder off the beach and back in the water, but you know. Will it be an Epic Game Store exclusive? Nope. At least CD Projekt Red says that. See? I'm sorry. I feel for those that had to stick around and wait for things much past whenever they came out because they didn't want to get involved with the Epic Game Store. I understand that. I mean, oh boy. It probably won't be called The Witcher 4. Whatever form the next big Witcher game takes, it probably won't have a 4 on it. CD Projekt Red co-founder, sorry, I can't pronounce that, has made it clear that the studio sees the first 3 games as a standalone trilogy. The Witcher was designed as a trilogy, and a trilogy cannot have a 4th part, can it? Said the 2017. He said in 2017 investors call. The clarification might sound trivial, but it's more about setting the right expectations for what comes next. Not only will a theoretical next Witcher not star Geralt, but it might be different in more fundamental ways than we're assuming. It could take place on a different continent, be in a very different time, or maybe not even about a Witcher. The game could step away from Witchers themselves and explore sorceresses or vampires, which is a rich world to draw inspiration from. I'm partial to the diverse, wandering lifestyle of Witchers, but I'm also open to something different. You know, those are speculation, stuff like that, things they'd like to see. Uh, stuff is common sense, like using the new Unreal Engine, stuff like that. CD Projekt Red acquired Molasses Flood to work on something. In October 2021, we got new CD Projekt Red acquiring Studio Molasses Flood, responsible for Flame in the Flood, to work in cooperation with developer CD Projekt Red on an ambitious project based on one of CD Projekt Red's existing properties. CD Projekt Red also confirmed Molasses Flood won't be working on Cyberpunk 2077, and since there are only two choices with CD Projekt Red, that leaves The Witcher. What happens if they're just making a whole new thing? I'm just not saying it. Maybe we'll see something in June. Some news on it. CD Projekt Red signed a new deal with the Witcher creator. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. CD Projekt famously got the rights to make the Witcher games for a flat upfront fee, which the novelist wasn't thrilled about after the game became enormously popular. Since 2018, the two parties have been negotiating a new deal, and in December 2019, they finally reached it. The new agreement solidifies and reinforces the company's relationship with the creator, author of the Witcher saga. Just still want to find those books. The most interesting quote, however, is this one. The agreement confers new rights upon the company and reaffirms its existing title to the Witcher intellectual property in developing video games, graphic novels, board games, and merchandise. That doesn't spell out that new video games are on the way, but it's a sure sign that CD Projekt has a long-term interest in The Witcher. So, I mean, yes, I skipped over quite a bit of the article. I kind of have to do that. Just, let's see. Let's see what's up. Well, let's see. Is there any movies you want me to look up? Any games you particularly want me to look up? Any shows you want me to look up? Anything out there that you'd like to see? I mean, I'm up for basically anything. So, you know. Let's see. Can't think of anything. I kind of want to avoid certain things, which really shouldn't, but I just don't think they quite fit into the category that I'm. Does that make sense? Let's see. Well, you know what? I'm probably just going to go ahead and end the stream here for the moment. I should be on the Xbox streaming something on there in a bit. I'm going to take this time to let my throat rest up a little bit. As you can probably tell, it's a little rough tonight. And well, I'll go from there. But thank you for coming by. That was at least a little bit interesting. That wasn't too funny, but I really couldn't find anything. I mean, I spent some time earlier looking for stuff that I thought would be funny, but some of the stuff really either wasn't all that funny or it's basically flogging a dead horse because it's been going on for over a week. So, well, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope if anybody is there, other than old man, and especially old man, have a good one. That